It just seems to do faster that way. Okay. Can you guys let me know if I'm showing the right screen? I think I know this, but we're going to jump right in on this rascal right now. Share. Present. And I believe I want to show this. Does this look right? Okay. All right. So everybody knows this just by way of review. So the whole idea to this thing is to keep everybody busy for 12 months. So this is not an overnight thing. Most of you know that. Most of us adults know that there's no quick pill we can take to fix this thing. But there's a very efficient, quick path to get there. And all we have to do is know where we're going. So this is the team that's all been in here. You've already seen Joe. We took Friday and Saturdays off. You've already seen Sam, and now we're jumping in and we're going to pick it up to the next level. I think everybody has already sent me their email. I know I got Darren's today. I think I've got Eric's, Justin, Kim, Edwin. I don't know if y'all sent it or not, but I'll be sure and add y'all on. I know y'all are on there. So what I've done is I've asked everybody to, hey, give something in, and then maybe something additional. So hopefully you'll get 12 tools out of this, 2 per presenter. Okay. So, you guys know me, HVAC greatness. Most of you know my history. I started off as a tech way back in my Army days. This was my business, light commercial residential, bunch of training with some of the big boys out there. And now I'm, 30 some years later. Oh, a number of years with Lennox. I didn't talk about that. I've got it covered up there, but a number of years with Lennox. Enough about that. So by way of review, we talked about your perception. We talked about, am I blocking that? It looks like I am. I can't tell. About, I don't even know who this company is. And this is probably was probably an expensive wrap, but this is that guy, Dan, over at, the name escapes me, but these guys do professional imaging. The point being, okay, we're starting off, we got to have a professional image. You got to have something that is popping. You got to have something that has that national image, that franchise look, something that really says this is a polished operation. And by doing so, and I know a lot of you guys were in the last challenge where we went through the 1%ers on all these different aspects of your business. But by doing so, we start to attract a better clientele. And by better, I mean people who want you to be thorough and give them your very best. And a whole lot less of people who want you to give you their cheapest price, or match the internet price or what's on Craigslist or some ridiculous thing like that. So that's what this kind of thing will do for you immediately. Now, Dan talks about disrupting the local market. And that means coming in with something that totally contrasts in color, in appearance, in imagery, in everything, so that your look is just drastically unique, and it turns heads. And so we've got to get that handled. To do that right, this is an investment. Keep in mind, you need original artwork. Don't go using Fiverr designers or somebody that you don't trust that's not creating original art, because that can oftentimes will come back and bite you, and you invest all this money in your image and only to have to take it down later, right? So we know that the image is important because we want to get our service technician out there. So Joe went through and explained to us really well on how you can take advantage and maximize your service opportunities, okay? But this is weather driven. But the point is, he talked about taking a lot of that work and scheduling it forward. And he mentioned during the off-season time when you can save money. I would elaborate on that a little bit. There's a lot of work that you want to push to the off-season time because it makes better sense for your company, and it's not overly urgent for your customer. And if you can schedule it when you need to be keeping your team busy and they can save a little bit of money. I mean, you don't want to be up in the attic replacing an entire duct system during the middle of July. It just doesn't make sense. So Joe did a great job on that. He's one of the veterans, and Sam was on last night, and he went through his process for selling in the retail replacement situation. So the point that we got out of that is you need a process. You need to be more professional. You need a process that matches that vehicle, that wrap, that website, that image, that professional level. And you can get that. And he talked about his process, and I'll talk about mine a little bit as well. But the point is, he does this for a living, and he did a good job, right? So what are some of the jobs that we can push back? Anybody? Talk to me.
Air quality.
IAQ, specifically. So which IAQ product? I think my screen just froze up. Let me do
humidifiers.
Okay. Accessories?
Yeah.
Not a sense of urgency right this minute, right?
Nope.
What else? This is group chat. Edwin, wake up. You looked at, you had a rough day, didn't you? I can see it in your eyes. What's the ideal work for when it's not hot?
Duct work.
Well, that's definitely ideal. Duct work. So we've got accessories like IAQ. Is there anything else that's really ideal for your business to do it when you're not busy?
Maintenances.
Hey man, there it was. Maintenance. That's going to be a big one, and we're going to go into that a little bit more today and a whole lot more later. Darren.
Duct cleaning if you do it.
Duct cleaning, allergy season work. Very good.
Yep.
Allergy season work, and specifically duct cleaning and sanitizing. I don't know how that is in your market. I spent like 15 grand when duct cleaning came out. We bought that HEPA 2000. I bought a trailer, did a wrap on the trailer, and we were the first to do that too. Didn't do as well as we wanted, but we didn't understand it like we do today either. What else?
Well,
Anything else?
You can do duct sealing. You can do air sealing.
Air sealing, ducts.
Reinsulation of the attic spaces. Now I don't know how
Attic
much.
fans.
I did. You broke up on the last one, George.
I don't remember what the last one it was I said, Pete.
Okay,
Shit.
you said duct sealing, air sealing, insulation in the attic.
And I don't know how far everybody else goes. You can do encapsulations.
Encapsulation.
Space encapsulations.
You talking about like vapor proofing the
Yeah, it's a
vapor
full
locking or whatever.
Yeah, it's a full encapsulation in the crawl space. In South Carolina, we got a lot of that. Of course, you was in North Carolina, so you know.
Yeah. I was born in Wilmington, actually. Encapsulations, very good, George. Those were good ones. Somebody else?
Whole house fans. Attic fans.
Attic ventilation. Okay. That's a good start. A host of accessories. Was that you, George?
Yeah, I was waiting on somebody else. I thought somebody else was talking. You can do your fresh air makeup, like your ERVs, your HRVs, especially if they're in the attic. Anything in the attic.
Right. Yeah, you guys up north are more HRVs. The ERVs is more in the humidity areas, but excellent. Yeah. So, how do we get them to do that stuff when there's no pressure externally, right? So let's go.
Discounts.
Let's pick back up. Say again.
Discounts Offering them a
This
cheaper price. Yeah, cheaper price on off season.
Okay, yeah, you're good, Zeke. Discounts. Look at it this way: have you ever been to the beach and you go to rent a hotel and the rates are just like ridiculous because it's like peak season? But you can go, like if you get those golf packages down there where Georgia is, down Myrtle Beach or something like that, and it's just cheap, right? You get hotel, golf packages, all inclusive because they're pulling you down. You're exactly right, Darren. We have to be proactive business owners, and we have to take and make our prospective or our customers aware that if you're in the dead of summer and we're replacing all this stuff in our peak season, we have to charge you our seasonal rates. Let's save you some money, and let's schedule that during a time in which we can reduce your rates substantially, particularly if it's not a non-urgent situation.
Well,
But if it needs, yes.
on that, you're saying discount it. Why don't you just pre-sell it in today's dollars for the future? Okay, we're at the end of the heating season. You need a furnace. Well, let's go ahead and get everything taken care of, and come fall, we can get your furnace in. And, you know, you don't need your air conditioning, you can do your furnace, your air sealing, any of the insulation. That's kind of what we do, is pre-sell it. And we don't, I don't know, I'm not a big fan of discounts. That's just me. I'm not saying that nobody else is right or wrong. But damn it, I'm gonna get paid for what I do.
George, I couldn't agree more. The contrast is peak season during off season, and when you pre-sell it, you'll sell it at the rate that you get the profit that you want. But by the same token, we need to communicate in a way that what's in it for me, the customer, and perhaps that's one strategy, perhaps it's another one. There's a number of right ways to do this, right? There's a number of wrong ways, like anything else. But Georgia, I mean, I'm not going to disagree with that. And that's right up the alley with what Joe was talking about, Joe Crosara. I mean, good stuff. Good stuff. Thank you. But the point is, we need to fill up these schedules when we have the opportunity. And we have the opportunity during the peak season. So we have to do this early on. Now, maintenance agreements is another one. I want to keep going. Let me see here. How far are we in there? I don't want to cut into exit full screen here. Hey, Wayne, what's the topic? We're putting all this together. And Zeke's back from the county fair. Zeke with his priorities. Where you at, Zeke? He's got his camera off. No, there he is. He's in the dark. Okay.
Driving home.
I hope you won something. All right. So let me go screen share first. I'm sorry, guys. I hate these buttons. Share this. All right, we're going to pop it back up to this. Maybe. And I have to switch screens. Okay. So, what does your organizational chart look like right now? And by that, most of us look our organization, you know, the way we're structured is with our employees, it looks exactly like those calls that have come in have made us look. You get calls for service, you put on a service tech. You get calls for replacement, you put on installers. You get you get enough phone calls coming in, you can't handle a phone, you put on a customer service rep or a call taker of some sort. Okay. The point is, most of us start here where you're doing the sales, you're doing the management, you're doing the service, you're doing answering the phone, everything, right? And then you start adding people, and this is exhausting, guys, right? And this other one, let's see if this is in the way, might be what you look like as an organization. It doesn't have to look this way. And again, this is another one of those, there's more than one right way. It's because you might offer a service like, I don't know, hearth products, fire logs. You might offer plumbing services. You might offer just a host of different things. And so you need to structure accordingly unless you fully departmentalize, right? So we want to be in control of our business and structure it in a way that not only do we give the best customer service that we possibly can, but we keep our people busy. We stay busy. Do you know, for example, what your capacity is? Anybody know what I'm talking about by capacity?
How many calls you're able to take?
Amen. Amen. All right. How much, more specifically, how much work can you do in a 40-hour week? And let's just do a live calculation. And let me see if I can bring it up. And we're just going to do it right on the fly. Y'all ready? It's going to be good or not. Either way, we're here for something. So let's talk about capacity. All right. So ideas. Service technician. How many weeks are in a year?
52, 56.
52.
52. Somebody went to paid attention in the. Okay, so if there's 52 weeks in a year, how many weeks will we remove for things like holidays and vacation? I can't see that chat, by the way. Another one came up. I can't read it. So is it safe to throw a week out for vacation and a week out for holidays? Is that safe?
Yep.
Yeah, that was me. I said 52 work. Usually 50 work weeks is what I calculate with.
Okay, 50 work weeks. Okay. How many days a week?
7.
Everybody work 5 days. Sometimes we do overtime, but we're just calculating. Oh, that was Sam. I didn't know who that was.
During the peak season, I do at least 6 or 7.
Yes, you do. But what we're doing is we're calculating our 40 hours just for this exercise. I know that. And so if we calculate our capacity based on a standard work week, anything additional is gravy. But what we want to know is what would our capacity be under standard terms and not more intense terms. So
250 work days a year.
Okay. So let's just use this capacity for all. Cool.
Okay.
All right. So your tech's out there 250 days. If you have a maintenance guy, maybe you're trying to keep that person busy 250 days, right? All right. Now, your service technician on an average week, not an expensive, not a very hot or very cold day, how many service calls can they bill for? And let's hold Joe's program off. Let's just talk about the normal air conditioning companies. You superstars, just hold back a little bit. I know some of you graduated from that program. This is just gravy again. We're just making a huge point here. So, anybody know average ticket for repair?
$250.
$250. Is that okay for everybody? What was that?
$436.
$436. Okay, between $250 and $436. How about we split it down the middle?
Yeah.
Say. There's a delay there, Darren. I'm sorry. What were you gonna say?
No, go ahead. Split it. I would say split it down the middle.
Okay. 350. Is that okay? How many service calls a day? Let's say he had to run over and do a startup. So let's throw one out. Is 3 okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
About $1,000 a day.
Yep.
See where we're going? Okay, so let's say that we can do, let's see here. I want to highlight, do $250,000 a year per tech. That'd be all right?
Mm-hmm.
That's our capacity. $1,000 a day, $5,000 a week on average. Some better, some worse. They run over and do startups. Maybe they help do a little bit of maintenance, whatever. Now, let's take our installation crews and let's do 250 days on that. We're all the same. What's the average system replacement? Average. Let's not get too crazy. I know you guys can, some of you superstars.
7,000 for full system.
I heard 7. I heard 8. Give me 7. Give me 8. Give me the 9. Okay, 7 and 8.
10.
What we want to use? 10. That's from our sales trainer.
I'd say 7,500.
There we go. We just split. That's again splitting it. Again, run your numbers. Anybody got a calculator?
$150,000.
7,500 times 250 days. This for the whole year.
Oh,
Don't make me break out my calculator.
187,000, or is that 1,875,000?
Times 250, 1.875.
yeah, that's about it.
All right. That's what these two guys can do. What does your maintenance guys do a day? What do they do per call? $100 on a maintenance, on a tune-up, on a pre-sold tune-up, a discounted tune-up, like your maintenance agreement.
About $100.
Yep.
100. Now they're not going to be busy doing this every day of the year, but just for example. That 25 grand?
No.
Is that right? Or am I zero off somehow? That should be right. Let's see here. $100 times 250, 25,000. Okay. So we've got a service tech that can do $250 plus $1,000 a year. We've got an installation crew, two-man crew that can do almost 2 million. 1.9, just go ahead and say. And then we've got your maintenance tech, and they can do 25,000. Guys, who do we want to keep busy here? This is the point. I mean, I know you know this, but I wanted to illustrate it because
all of them.
darn straight.
But
All
but
of them.
in
All of
upper-
them. Right. Well, what if they were structured back in that organizational chart so that organically your guys up here, your service techs, they're pumping leads, and your maintenance techs are pumping leads. In other words, you're not having to buy customers, right?
Right.
This is
Those
the way it's
two are-
supposed to work. Now,
Those two guys are gonna actually sell the equipment for you, which
Yes,
will
sir.
keep these installs going.
Now, let's talk real briefly because this needs to be added in just to make the point, this quick exercise. Closing ratios for equipment replacement. I run an ad. I spend $1,000 on the local ad. And I get, I don't know, how many leads would I get on that? How many estimates? Hopefully 4.
Yeah, hopefully.
It's horrible.
Then if that's the case, let's make it 10 leads and adjust that proportionally. So $2,500 to get you 10 leads, right? What is your closing ratio on an ad that you just ran in the newspaper or in the local whatever? What is your closing ratio? They call you for an estimate. Anybody?
About 20 to 30%.
I think that's high, but that's good. That's good. I mean, this is from our sales professional. What about the rest of us?
Well, so 20% is industry average numbers across the country.
Right. We ran our numbers, Yellow Pages, 15, and I had taken sales training.
Yeah.
20%. You got to run your own numbers. Industry average.
That also depends on where you're marketing too.
Absolutely. Each one, this is why we measure everything. Excellent point. Okay, so 20%, that means we have 2 sales. What is that? 1750? $1,750 each. That's an expensive form of advertising. Right? Customer referrals. What's your industry average on that one, Sam? Customer referrals, not employees, customers.
About 60%.
60?
50 to 60 for referral. Yeah, for referrals.
Okay. Anybody else? We're going to go conservative. Sam's a superstar.
No, that's easy. I get a lot of customer referrals.
Okay. Talk to me. Who's that? Kim? I can't see.
No, Stacy probably.
Oopsie. Yeah, sorry.
How many?
I'm basically all referrals. So
Okay.
I'm 60% at least.
60?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't advertise.
I'm going to drop it for the rest of us. We got a couple of superstars. Okay. Hello. Go ahead. Who is that spoke up? Was that Stacy? I couldn't see because I'm on the screen share. Okay, so your cost per sale on this one is 0, obviously, and the closing ratio. Point is, you go on 2 estimates, you get 1 sale. That's not a bad use of your comfort advisor's time if you have a dedicated comfort advisor, or your time if you're out having to run an estimates as well. But on this one, you lost 8. We lost 8 over here. So we had to run 10 calls to get to versus 4 calls to get to here, right? Service technician leads.
80%.
That high? Now, I'm not talking about maintenance agreements, service agreement. I mean, service technicians.
That's what you said.
Huh?
That's the number.
Is that what I said? No.
I think we realistically see about 60% for our service tech leads.
All right. So to get 1 sale, whatever that is, 1.8 or something, whatever. So the point is, this is getting much better. And go ahead and go with the maintenance. That was where you were going. What's your number on that one? Maintenance agreements. These are customers that are yours. They love you. You're out there. Your maintenance tech is out there all the time, right? What is that?
Sorry,
I have no clue, but
80. That should be about 80% number.
Mine was 85. Ours were about 85%. 10 estimates. We got 8 to 9 installations. Can you see this? Can you see why you're paying these guys to be maintenance techs, and they're quote unquote not billing you, but $25,000 a year. Oh, they're doing you better than that. This is why this is so important, guys, because this becomes leads and becomes that. Now, let's talk about that. What's the average life of a heating and air conditioning system?
15 years.
12 to 15 years.
Unless you're down in South Florida, right, Edwin? What is it down there?
I would say 15. I would say 15 to 20.
And in South Florida.
Not in South Florida. It's more like 10 to 12, right? So let's say 15. Just you plug your numbers in. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, because we don't have the salt water here, so it's probably 15 to 20.
Yep.
Okay. So what was that price? It was $7,500. Okay. Over a course of 15 years.
Hey, Pete.
How many?
Well,
Yes, sir.
Something just happened to your mic because you're getting real
Hear me?
static.
Okay, bear with me a second.
No one can hear me for some reason.
I can
We
hear
can
you.
hear you now.
Right here?
No.
That's that microphone. Is that better?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. This thing's giving me trouble, guys. It's doing it about frequently. All right. Let's jump back in here. Okay. So if the average life is 15 years and let's, so we got $7,500 to replace the system just based on today's whatever numbers. Average repair is $350. How often is your repair? Once every 3 years, 4 years, what?
I would say here every 5.
Every 5. So 350
New equipment.
times every 5 years. So during that 15 years, we should have about 3 repairs. Right? All right. What do you charge? You said $100 per maintenance agreement? $100 times 2. That's each year is $200. $200 times 15 years is $3,000. What is the average accessory on a 15-year system that you might add? It could be a humidifier. Would it be 1, 2, 3? And what would the average price be?
UV light.
Just say one accessory?
UV light.
Yeah. So what's a good price for that? Installed.
Cheapest is about 350, 375.
350, 375. Can I get 4?
The better price ones are probably 900,000, 1100.
Okay, we're average. We're talking average. Let's take low end. But guys, your numbers on this, if you add them up, they're going to be much better than this. Anybody know the total on all this? Okay, so I've got $3,000 plus the $375 for that one accessory over a 15-year period plus.
Wait, that's every
This
year.
is over a period of 15. No.
The
Just start
light,
all over. Okay.
the light is only good for like 1 year.
Hello?
No. What we're talking about on this one is not the accessory. We're taking over a 15-year period. If you have a maintenance agreement customer and you get that replacement, that's $7,500. Plus, you get 3 repairs over the period of that time, that's $1,050.
Hello?
Plus, you did maintenance every 6 months, that's an additional $3,000.
Test.
Plus, you got one accessory at $375. That is,
Scan it.
let's just call.
$11,925.
Right?
Oh, you already did it.
All right. So if we divide that by 15 years,
Test.
We hear you, Rob.
All right, because it ain't showing up on there. So I was wondering. I was like, I thought it was broke there. Thank you.
No, we've seen you pop up.
okay. How does that look? So this means, put all this down on one page. So this means that on an average life, 15 years, if your system replacement is $7,500, you're getting 3 repairs. You get 1 repair every 5 years. You're doing your maintenance agreements every 6 months. You get an accessory once. Your life, your average per year income on one maintenance agreement customer is about $800. And guys, that's low. We figured $1,000 back in the 90s. But we'll use the simple numbers, right? Almost $800,000 a year just for doing maintenance. I think these numbers are very low. 1,000 maintenance agreements. If you're running your systems and you're doing what Joe teaches you and you're doing what Sam teaches you and you're doing what we're sharing on your processes and how to get the value added stuff, you'll double that number. You will double that number. Now, when are we doing our maintenance agreements? We're doing them when it's slow. How are we doing on time? Good. We're doing them when it's slow, right? So how many maintenance agreements can we do during a slow period? So if we had like 3 months really hot and 3 months really cold, we had 6 months, 3 and 3. We've got a maintenance guy doing 4 a day. 4 times 5 times, what is that? There we go. Maybe 400 maintenance agreements. One maintenance tech could do. Okay, so during the course of your slow period, this is when we do our maintenance agreements. And we go in and we do these thorough processes. We look for opportunities. We follow a program like Joe's, and then we get the opportunity to do enhancements, to do accessories, to do all of these other things that we've already brought up. George had several. Doing the air duct or the duct sealing. We talk about allergy season, like Darren mentioned, accessories, duct work. If your guys are trained to recognize these, the prices are in place to explain the benefits of all of these. Start with 1 or 2 and add to it. Start with your maintenance agreements. Now we're talking about how we can fill this whole year up. Your goal should be to get as many maintenance agreements as you possibly can and service the fire out of them, take care of them, make them love you. Go in and do all the extra value added things. A really good maintenance program. That's the point. Let's see if I have more on the other slide.
Pete, can I ask a question?
Yes, amen. I was waiting on that. Go ahead.
Okay. On the service agreement side now, I've listened to Gary Elks. I'm sure you've heard of him.
I know Gary, yeah.
Yeah. Now, he had talked about one time about pricing service agreements, and you calculate your break even. And he had a nice little strategy on it, and I just want to get your opinion on it, is to increase your service agreements. Sell it at your break even point. Don't sell it at a loss. Sell it at your break even point. And once you get a good clientele built up, then you put it back to what you would normally charge. And when you get too many service agreements to curtail new ones coming in, you even go above that price of your normal price. Do you think that's a good strategy to follow?
I got to tell you, if it come out of Gary Ellick's mouth, I would absolutely pay attention. He's like E.F. Hutton. This guy, I knew him from way back from my Lennox days. He used to work for Lennox. He was a district manager. And he is fantastic. Now, he speaks way above most of our heads, right?
Oh, yeah.
And it's not that this is above our heads. It's like, are you some of you guys over in like Louis Bruno's group and Gary with CEO? Those guys are fantastic. But if we're not there yet, we're really not ready for that. So the idea here is let's get this to capacity first. You need to know your numbers. You need to know how to price this thing for profit. But again, if you raise your price and then you go in and you haven't taken that sales training, you're going to start losing work. We put on when I was with Lennox, we put on these pricing programs. I think it was Wayne Atkins. He had come out and he taught the contractors. They got all fired up. They went and raised their prices, and then they couldn't close. Their competition was beating them because they didn't have all the other pieces together. This is why everything matters. So you take that financials class, but you didn't take Sam's class or Joe's, right? Then you're missing. So all this has to go together. But the strategy that gets you the most maintenance agreements under your belt is as quickly as possible is the best one, whatever that is. Now, that said, we're going to be open. I'm going to open up in a couple of days. I'm going to talk more about maintenance agreements and how to properly look at them as an owner, how you can look at them through your employees' eyes and how to adjust that, and how it's going to affect your business as well. And then Nick McDonald's going to come in, and he's got a program how to sell 100 maintenance agreements every 90 days per tech. That's his program that he's going to be talking about. So I'm kind of priming that for you. And I have not heard it, but I know he's got a whole program around like how to get to 1,000 maintenance agreements, for example. I think that's his paid program. But what he's going to do for free is going to be this version. It doesn't matter. The whole idea is get you guys on the road, get you started. Make sure that you're not operating on 3 key points when it takes 10 to keep everything balanced, because otherwise you're out of balance and you're losing energy. Having that great sales skill does no good if the person answering the phone blows the call for you, or if the van pulls up and is dripping oil in the driveway, or looks like crap. When you pull in, when you're firing on all cylinders, your image, your call taker, that service tech, the maintenance process, the whole delighting the customer. By the time you get to the estimate, it's done. And they will come. They are coming for your customers. They came after mine in the 90s. The consolidators did, and they, like I said, it looked good on paper and it worked on paper, but in real life, they didn't have it figured out. When they come back, and they will come back, I don't know how or what, they're coming after us. So you got to lock your customers in, and they got to love you. Maintenance agreements are the way to go. And when you start to structure, now what we were going to do after this is we take, okay, I've got one maintenance tech. He's doing 400 maintenance calls in the spring, and he's doing 400 in the winter. And we know that using the $1,000 per customer, that's generating about $400,000 in revenues in the spring and in the fall. I don't know what your spring and falls look like, but that's just 400. That's with one maintenance tech. And you don't go hire a maintenance tech, use your service techs at first, obviously, because they're going to be better at selling probably. But when you start bringing maintenance techs in because your service techs are too busy, now you're providing a career path, you're developing your own employees, you're growing your own. And so you start to put a real organization together where people have a career path. They can cross-train. One maintenance guy wants to go over and help in the installation. Maybe they love that. Another one goes out and runs some service calls. They get all fired up. And some of them are so polished with their personality that they start stepping into that sales position as a comfort advisor. So we're building an organization here that fits what you want as a company. And the bottom line is your customers are going to love you for it. You do a better job. You're putting the booties on your clothes, on your feet before going in the house. You're protecting their property. You're really making them feel secure, have peace of mind, that they have value, and they're getting return on that investment in you. And there's a relationship. And if some new big box company comes into your town, if you've got a wrap that looks like that one I just showed you on the front, if you got that image, they're not going to touch your customers. But we got to move ahead. You got to invest back in yourself, guys. I think that wrap, that whole re-imaging package that might be $20,000. They call the websites, and I don't get anything from this guy. I've just been looking for somebody like that for a while, and I come across him actually the day of presentation one. Dan, he's got an Italian last name. That's one guy. Go find somebody else, but find somebody that knows their stuff and take it to the next level. Okay, so EGIA, about $300 a month for training, very deep. Okay, doesn't matter where you go. It does matter where you go. Go with somebody that knows what the heck you're talking about and that can get you the results, right? And don't overpay. Don't underpay. But invest in yourself. A lot of these young guys, Gary Vaynerchuk, you guys know him? I was talking about him on today's live. Guy's great, right? And number one, he says, the kids today, talking about the young entrepreneurs, as soon as they get a little jingle in their pocket, they go buy them a new ride or buy them these new special gaming system, and they go online, and there's thousands of dollars they spend on that. He goes, those are the ones that are not going to make it. But the ones that hold back the reins, they keep their lifestyle balanced, they invest back in their business, back in themselves, back in their employees, everything that matters. It's just going to snowball. And you can do this. If you're still in your one truck, or you only have a couple of employees and you're ready, ultimately want to get out of the field and you want to have something of value, I'll tell you this. I was with Lennox for about 12 years. I had a bunch of people that wanted to sell their business because they got to that age. And I can't remember hardly any of them getting what they wanted. One guy held out. He wanted $150,000. He had no maintenance agreements. He had a phone number where people used to call. They called once or twice or 10 times. But an investor isn't going to invest in that. And they're certainly not going to invest in your employees, because one thing's for sure, a new owner comes in, people quit. We don't like it like this. So that's not overly appealing. You're the owner. Everything was built around you. You're gone. What am I investing in? But if you had 1,000 maintenance agreements, 2,000 maintenance agreements, delivering $2 million worth of organic revenues every year at a GP of, 40, 50%, and you multiply that GP out by 3 years, there's your net value, approximately. You want to sell your business one day or turn it over to your family member and they can get financing, you can take that to the bank and get financing. But I've been in business for 20 years and I've got over 40,000 customers. I've heard people say this. They really believe themselves. But it's all about, we're HVAC guys. We have to learn this stuff as we go. I certainly didn't come up with this. I sat in the best trainers classes over a long period of years. And then with Lennox, I even got better, access, because I could sit on the back end. And that's how I met Gary. Gary didn't just train our employees. He trained us. Gary Elix and tons of other ones. Anyway.
Hey, Pete, I got a question. So if we're going back and we're looking at the numbers that you showed there, I hardly install any equipment at all, which is probably a fault, especially showing how there's the most profit in system replacements. So we're looking at all those numbers, and we've got the system replacements is probably number one key to profitability in the business. And then service agreements are the second, because you're using, you're keeping, it's $200 a year, and then you're keeping that customer locked in. You get a bunch of customers, and then accessory sales and repairs are just kind of like an afterthought that come in to help boost everything. But I should really focus a lot of my time just on repairs, getting maintenance agreement customers, and then getting replacements and maintenance agreement customers, and then the repairs and accessories will come.
I don't think they're going to come until you present them in a way that your customer can get past the techie stuff and understand the value in them. That's where, if I was your size, again, I would probably be looking at Joe Cressar's program. If I was getting that I'd look at it regardless. A version of that. But the biggest, and I'll interpret my, and I think we got some stuff, maybe George can speak to this a little better than I can. But my interpretation is this: instead of going in and looking just for that problem, He walks into every system as an entire opportunity, looking at the system as a whole. The homeowners, understanding what they're all about, the house, insulation, waste, windows, attic, crawl spaces, and of course, most importantly, the duct system, air distribution system, the equipment itself, and potential issues, stuff that's already wearing out, it hadn't broken yet. And ultimately, you're going to get down, it's got a bad capacitor, right? So you're there for a capacitor that they go look up online and they see it for, I don't know, $10 or less, and you're selling for $300. You look like a crook versus you bundle all this stuff in and say, listen, we've got, you change your verbiage a little bit. Don't equip them to go internet shopping, with a 7.5 microfarad, 370 volt, whatever the AC, whatever. Don't do that. Just go and say, your voltage absorption system is part of your starting components, which involves a capacitor and a contactor and compressor leads. They're all starting to turn green. So we're going to go ahead and upgrade all of that. It's kind of like a spark plug. Don't change one. Let's go ahead and change the set. Okay, that's got to be done. But we're also noticing the other things. You've got huge mildew buildup inside the evaporator coil. It is dark, it's damp, and this is an issue. And it could affect the breathing quality of your air. So let's take care of that. And we'll put a special UV light in there that's going to directly kill that and not let it reproduce anymore. And then we're going to look at these other, and so bundle in and offer, you're an expert, be a consultant. Forget about the money, all that, pre-price all that stuff, and just kind of lay out all the stuff that you want, and then you add it up, and if they go, oh my God, then start backing down. But look at it like you're a consultant and you're really going in to fix people's homes. There are people who have low energy right now because you don't address their IEQ. There are particles so small, they'll pass your mucus and nasal hair system, go right into your lungs, they're absorbed in your bloodstream, and they make you sick. Some of us to the point where we react. Achoo. Others, we're just low energy, whatever it is. This is real. Within a house, anybody's home, it's 7 to 10 times more polluted than just walking out the door and breathing outside air, even though it's hot and uncomfortable or cold and uncomfortable. That's why, George mentioned ERVs, bring in that oxygen, exhaust that stale air, exchange the energy. We don't want to waste. May as well open the windows if you want to do that. But there's all these solutions, but we have to address them and create these packages and these systems, and these great solutions, and be great communicators in such a way that the homeowner appreciates what you're doing. They don't think you're trying to sell them something. They know that you're doing well by them, just like your doctor wants to run all these tests and make sure that there's not any real issues here, because we do have energy loss. That's obvious for us. Well, we want to save the efficiency. We want to restore capacity by cleaning the coils, optimizing the refrigerant charge, superheat subcooling, airflow. Fix that return air leak because we're sucking 120-degree attic air in, or worse yet, we got a great sealed up return where we're sucking 1,000 CFM up into the attic, but we got a leaky supply and only returning 800. So what happens when you suck 1,000 out of the living space and return 800? You create a negative pressure. So what's it going to do? It's going to suck in through all those cracks and spaces throughout the house. The light fixtures, all that dust from the attic is coming down. You wonder why you have a dusty house? This is the kind of stuff that if we don't realize and communicate to it, how in the world are they ever going to know? We have to be able to go in and make these tests and improve our education. I know we know the inside of the equipment really well, but what about the total application? In what's really going on in the big picture. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm starting to see that I'm letting the customer down by not offering, a big media filter. I mean, we have a high allergy. We live in the valley, almond trees, and I'm not offering that to the customer. I don't offer Wi-Fi to the customer. That's an advantage. It's all stuff that we do. We have the capabilities of putting it in. If I don't offer it, then I'm letting them down, right? In some ways.
I think we are. I think we are, and I think that's a healthy attitude. But we look at the automotive dealers, and you know what they charge for those mats they put in there? The dealer mats or that pinstriping they put? A buddy of mine, back in the 90s, he did all the detailing work for the local car dealers, the Chevy and Ford, all of them. And he put those little stripes on there for $5, and they would sell these detailing packages for $300, $400. I mean, and he, you know, he was getting paid, you know, 30, 40 bucks. I think we're pretty honest and we're really too hard on ourselves. If you add great value, charge for your service, figure out what's a fair price. That's okay. It's okay. Your customer doesn't want you losing money. Your good ones don't, because they want you to be here and take care of them and continue to do, you know, good work and be here to stand behind the work that you do. And that warranty that you gave 5 years, well, if you go out of business in 4, you know, anybody else?
The only thing I'd like to comment is kind of going on what Eric was just talking about. The things you've got to look at, there's like 4 areas. You know, you look at your safety first. You look at the health, what the health of the family is going to need. You look at the reliability of the equipment, and you know, that's just a basic inspection, looking at the reliability. And then you look at the current quality installation that they have. And then you tie all of those together, and then you start making these options. But it's got to be relevant to the homeowner. It's got to be tied to something to the homeowner.
I agree. Customize. And that's my program. Sam does a great job on his sales program, but he mentioned that his proposal, I think his process is about 45 minutes. Mine was 2 hours. I was in there. I'm getting them involved. I'm doing a real load calculation, you know, and I would manually do mine, even though we had software. Yeah, you know, I think there in Florida, maybe you know, Edwin, you can actually access a website. It will pull the records. It will give you a load count based on the average construction materials of that year, and then you just orient, you know, with the sun, and you come up with a full envelope load count. And, you know, you can do that kind of stuff, sure. But, you know, your license with your state, more than likely, and there's something I'm not aware of, you're liable. If you put the wrong size equipment in there, that's on you. And so many people just go by what used to be in there. And I mean, why put 48,000 BTU in there when 42,000 would do it? You know, we want long run times means really nice dehumidification, and that means more comfortable air. And the inrush of current on a stopped compressor to get it going is expensive. You know, cycling down like a 2-stage or a variable capacity is going to be much, much less, because every time you on and off, on and off, on and off, it's sucking energy, sucking energy, sucking energy. It's expensive. But these are the kind of things that our homeowner don't think. Well, I want a big one because it'll pull it down real quick and knock off, and that's going to save me money. No, it's not. It's going to cost you money. You know, but we have to explain that to them, and that requires training on our part. How do we present this in a way that we can successfully communicate it to our customers, and they see the value of it in their mind? And we can't talk BTU.
That might be a good topic for one of your shows. Is just doing the manual J is not enough. You know that. You've got to go in and make sure you get the right equipment by the manual S. And being able to, as far as us contractors are concerned, being able to charge for that some way, I haven't figured that one out yet. Because if we don't do that, yes, we're liable if it screws up, especially if it causes damage to the home via mold or whatever.
Right. So you're talking about a manual D or what?
No, when you do the manual J, it gives you your airflow and your BTUs and everything. And then you've got to find that specific piece of equipment by way of the manual S to deliver both the sensible and latent. So I can tell you, contractors are not doing manual S.
Well, and you can go directly to the engineering data and pull that. I used to work with Lennox. And the way I came about, I was a train dealer back in the 90s. And everybody was wanting to sell train. Well, I wanted to be different, so I went and started selling Lennox. And I did not do that. And I went in, I pulled a 2-ton, an old one, and I went back and I put a 2-ton back in. I did the load count, and there it was. And it wouldn't hold. And the problem was it was too large of a latent capacity for what the engineering data said it would perform under those conditions. And I didn't pull that and actually look at it. You can pull that from the manufacturer's information as well.
Oh,
So
yeah, but
all this
nobody's
is
doing it.
nobody's doing it, right? I'll just oversize it a half ton. It'll be okay. You know,
Yeah.
Well,
that's not good
look,
service.
we can't size air conditioners based on a software package. You have to base on design temperature. What do you want that air conditioning to do in that designed temperature? All
Yes.
the ones that were installed 10 years ago were designed for a specific wet bulb and dry bulb, a 95-degree wet bulb and a 75-degree dry bulb. If you want something different, then you have to size your air condition based on design temperature. And I'll tell you, one of the programs that will do the manual J's and the manual S's is Right Soft.
Right soft.
Yeah, right. Soft's good. It's good software. And also, if it's single stage equipment, there's code that won't allow you to, just because the homeowner wants to hold their temperature at 65 degrees during the summertime, you know, the next owner may not, and now you've got humidity levels, and now you got that cave feel. So be careful on meeting those customer specific desires. Just do it in a way that can't come back and bite you, like variable capacity or something like that, you know, so that it can adjust for all these different things. But excellent point. Thank you, Darren. I am going to pause the recording if there's no more questions, and we can keep talking, of course, just to let it start rendering. Good? Okay, so you guys listen to the recording. We appreciate you jumping in, and we'll see you on the next session. Tomorrow's session is Dennis Homan. He is going to come in. He's our numbers guy, but he's also going to come in and talk to us how to start drawing these customers on platforms like Facebook. And we're softening them up so that, you know, that advertising example we talked about where we can get 20% in average closing ratio because they don't even know who we are. Well, through platforms like social media, they can start to know us, they can start to recognize us, and we can start to bring that wall down. And by the time you go in and do your estimate, maybe that won't be a 20% closing ratio. Maybe it'll be 30, maybe it'll be 40. So these are strategies that we're going to start to implement. So stick with us tomorrow for that one, and we appreciate you guys coming. And so we're going to sign off now. Thank you. Oh. And